Shashi, this month marks the world premiere of The State of Statelessness, the first ever Tibetan language anthology feature film at the 29th Busan International Film Festival, one of the Asia's most prestigious film events. The films were produced and commissioned by the Dharamshala-based the Drung Tibetan Filmmakers Collective, which delves into powerful themes of statelessness and migration through 4 stories about Tibetans living in exile. In today's episode of In Conversation with Tibettv, we are pleased to have joined by Tibetan filmmakers, director Sonam Tsetan and cinematographer Tenzin Kalden, who are also the co-founder of Drung Tibetan Filmmakers Collective, to discuss the anthology and the current state of Tibetan films in exile. Welcome to our program, both of you. I'd like to say congratulations on the world premiere of The State of Statelessness in Busan International Film Festival. So can you tell us how did the screening go, and how was the reception of the international audience in Busan? And also I'd like to ask what makes State of Statelessness universally appealing?
So we finished our film in this year, July. So from Mumbai, we wrap up the editing, and then we applied for the Busan International Film Festival. So you know it, Busan is a really important place to screen to show our film, for especially for the Asian countries. So over there, we screened 3 times, and 2 with Q&A. At that time, when first when we show the film, so we are quite excited and anxious about how they connect our story. Later, when after the screen the film during the Q&A, their response was really great, and they come to know that what Tibetan in exile, how they day-to-day life facing without a stateless. So for this kind of connection, and they have a really good response for us. Yeah.
Tondan, director Tenzin Sonam, director Litu Sarin, and actor Tenzin Kalden.
And Kandila, I have a question for you. Can you share us the background of the idea of creating the first ever anthology, Tibetan anthology feature film, The State of Statelessness, since you are the co-founder of Drung Tibetan Filmmakers Initiative Collective, right? So yeah, tell us more.
So State of Statelessness was one of our first a bigger scale project at a larger scale. And the whole idea behind it at the time was, so we started in 2020, true. So this idea came up in end of 2022. And the whole idea behind this was, so we all have shared experiences as exiled Tibetans, as refugees, right? And we are coming into the 2nd and the 3rd generation now. And so we wanted to make a film which deals with this theme of migration and being in exile over generations, and how it affects us in the same way and in different ways at the same time. So that's why we thought, I think anthology is a good mode to show different experiences within the larger umbrella of the same experience of being a refugee and an exile. So that was the whole idea behind this project. So we started in 2022. It took us about 2 years to raise the money for the film, and I think this is a good opportunity for us to thank people who supported us. I think especially Tibetan films, Tibetan films, exile films, it's very hard for it to come through or for it to happen or actualize without the support of the community itself, and at different levels. For example, when we started this project, we were helped like through funding, for the funding part, we were helped by the Tibet Fund, Judith Andela, and then there were many like small fundraising events held all over America in different Tibetan communities over there. And then there was some help from the Tibet Film Festival also to finish the film. So this film was made on a micro budget, but it still takes people's goodwill and this sense of belonging and sense of support to actualize a project like this. And when it comes to the production of the film, when we were shooting, for example, there are so many people who have come and worked with us for very meager pay. Some of us have given us free accommodation, some of us given us free locations, without which it just like wouldn't be possible to make a film like this. So uh, I think we are very grateful to the community at large, and and the people who were engaged, each and every individual who were engaged in this project, and they had faith in us, and it kind of worked out. So thank you so much, everyone.
So, so when I think about anthology film, uh, the audience, we have just only seen the trailer, right? And trailer shows for a few seconds we get a glimpse of the film, but not all. And so the film itself, you have a very powerful theme for this one. And also when someone like me, when I think of anthology film, we think of the films that we see on the OTT platforms, like some examples like modern love stories, or maybe some directors, someone like Kurosawa, he has made Dreams, and also some other Indian Bollywood filmmakers or directors, they also have put together anthology films like that. So I'd like to ask both of you, what can the audience, Tibetan and non-Tibetans, who are looking forward to see this film, because it's going to be screened in India next month, right? So the Ramsar International Film Festival. So what the audience can expect from this anthology film?
Yes, I think like initially what Kandala said before. So so when we start this project, right? So we're thinking that in exile. So even in a Drung itself, like Kande has a different lifestyle. I have a different, and Tenzin has a different lifestyle. So the day-to-day life, and there are different problems. But somehow the loneliness to our own country and to very complexity identity in exile, how we are going through. So there are so many like different difficulties or different sadness or different happiness. It's all totally different from the different peoples, right? That's why in this anthology, like we thought that like if there's one director, one feature film, so this doesn't convince much. So that's why, so this is how we idea came into that, like so we have a different four, so we commissioned like four different directors to make a film on the topic of migration and statelessness. So through this like four different perspective in this film, uh, how how Tibetan like survive in that statelessness. So that's why like I think it's very important, and that's really perfect like fit in sort of anthology. That's why like we did it, yeah.
Since you have your previous film, you have a short film like Pema and the Settlement, right? And you have explored the same, somewhat like same theme of statelessness and exile, mainly through two narratives line, and waiting and broken familial relationships. So in this film. This anthology that you have screened just now, does it follow the same exploration? And if so, why the theme of separation and in-betweenness is close to your visual storytelling?
Oh, yes. So first of all, like really like what I'm thinking is this, like it's been for almost like 3 years or something. So now I have a really good team. We have a really good team, like the Drung, Tenzin and Tenzin Kalden. So I have more confidence to tell a story because of their backing up, and also in our community there are like people like Tsawala, Lekpe, and there are many more. They're always helping me to do all these kind of things. But somehow, like a couple of years ago, I just like I decided myself that I want to tell a story just about a separation, reunion, and identity, because this is me. So I came from Tibet when I was 6 years old, and I'm in exile. So that's why this is, for me, is quite easier to feel it and tell the story, because now I just realizing that whatever we tell the story to the audience, you have to be really honest yourself, right? And so that's why I choose all these questions, all these themes which I really want to deal with. At the same time, in this film, so my theme is migration. Again, another separation. So if I say a little bit about the film, is like from the script, right? So when I write the script, and Candela is also like with me for doing the script writing. So we discuss a lot about things, and then Tenzin is there also. So in the film is about like two sister, a conflict between two sister. This is the conflict comes from the migration. So this is a story in this anthology. My part of the story is like that, yeah.
I was going to ask you about the more detail about your film, but you have given up some part of it. So I'll ask Candela. So in general, for a Tibetan filmmaker in exile, what are the challenges that are being faced, especially as these anthology film, when you have this like goal to submitted to the international film festivals, right? What are the challenges that you have seen face?
I think generally the biggest challenge is making a film itself, just from the start. I think filmmaking is a very collaborative process, and it's a very cost-intensive process, right? Even like a micro-budget film, like according to us, is still a lot of money, right? So I think basically without a good group of people doing it together, it's almost it's very difficult to make films without a community, without a group of people who believe in the same goal. So that's the biggest challenge, and I think we have kind of come over that with especially in Dharamshala, with the team that we have here and everything, and the support that we get from other filmmakers. So that's one big challenge. I think the film itself, just making itself, is a collaborative process, and it's expensive. You have to get equipment. And second is obviously, the funds and everything to make the films. It's hard to raise funds. And then once the film is made, then the challenge becomes, especially like you asked, so when we go to a festival, when we apply for a festival, so we are only like the math does not sit actually in a lot of festivals. For example, the Tibetan issue, and for example, we are only 150,000, 60,000 in exile, right? And there are only so many eyes. There are very few eyes, right, to watch the film. So so when a film goes to a festival, and then there's the China factor also, right? So when a film goes to a festival, these are the challenges that we face. But overall, I think it's become a lot better. When we started, so when I started in 2016. I think the whole situation has improved a lot. It's much better. And as Sonsi always says, our history of cinema is very young. We are at a very very young stage, and hopefully it'll get better from here on, because there are so many good filmmakers coming out of our community, and I think it'll only get better from here. And also, sorry, you mentioned the challenges. So there's one good news. For example, I don't know if people noticed it, but in between 2003 and early 2004, last year, there were four that I know of. There were four Tibetan feature films that were shot. Normally we have years of drought of no films, no feature films, and there are short films, but there are no feature films, like years, right? I think the last one I remember, feature film, Sweet Requiem, last
Sweet Wickham, yeah, like Sweet Wickham, yeah.
2017 or something like that.
Yes.
So it's amazing that in
This year.
2003 and 4, there were four feature films that were made, right? State of Statelessness, and Shipek himself made his film. And then Dasela made her film, Dharamshala. And then
Busan
Busan in Canada,
Yeah.
she made a film. So I think these are like great signs, and we have challenges, but somehow then there's a way around it too, and just we're trying to make it happen. So hopefully it works well.
And I'd like to ask Sunsila, so the most of the international film festivals, how do you say the domination of films that they are being shown there? What can you say about that?
The f-
Yeah.
yeah, so I think like the festivals, right? You're talking about the film festivals, how they're selecting or stuff like that. So I guess like over there, see the whole before like Kandala said it, like so we have like even like there's a linguistic problem which we if we the Tibetan film itself, and we have very less amount of audience, like 200,000 something. So then like the most of the film festivals, like they're always looking for the commercial vibrant, right? After these films comes goes there, and how they have this specific like viewership, and they have to sell it. So that's why it's quite challenging to get into the like festivals, to be there at the same time. Like he also mentioned that the Chinese factors there also, like so somehow now the good part is this, like so far the Tibetan filmmakers into exiles, at the same time the films made by on Tibet by the outsiders. So now this stage, now we are trying to tell the story which you can smell Zamba and the feelings. So before they made a film about Tibet in exile, I'm talking about. But so in this, like most of films, when I like watch it or something, they are just information films. They just want to give you information. So I don't feel any feelings when I watch those films, right? So now we are trying to make the films with feelings, and meaningful feelings, and how we are struggling a day to day in exile. So
Needs to be Tibetan.
yeah, and then like even like the crews, the main like crew, they all are Tibetans now. So now that before I mentioned also like the Drung Collective, so we are really open to anybody, like Tibetan filmmakers wants to come and join with us, and even we can help them, like or they can help us, whatever. This very like open space actually. So right now we three are running it, but it's a really open space. Whoever wants to make a film or wants to need a support from us, so definitely we are really open, like we are really open. Yes, I think this is the thing. Yeah.
And how important do you think, the world to see and hear and see more Tibetan stories through feature films, especially film festivals like Busan?
Yeah, yeah. That's how, like say, in a film we are telling a story, right? So like even like that, before I just mentioned, like story which we really feel, which we really experienced, and that's we are honestly we're telling our like story, right? So the feature film and short film, whatever the film format, is really like important to tell the other international audience, to tell our own story with our own voice, with our own like crew, right? So that's why it's really important. At the same time, it's a soft power actually, right? Through the film, like people will understand or understood what's going around. Even like I give you one example during the Busan International Festival. So some audience is saying that Tibet, we imagine Tibet as a Shangri-La, like all people are like nice, compassionate. So this is very stereotype, right? So now we tell this kind of story to the audience, to the larger audience. They're saying that, oh, it's eye-opening, right? So because they now they are trying to understand what we are going through. Yes, that's why I think the feature film is really important to tell. Yeah.
So, Sunsula, could you share some details about your film in this anthology? I know this sounds a little bit spoiler alert because it's going to be screened in very soon. But just for the audience to get them interested more in watching this.
So my film, the name is Parto, and in English, like in between. So the story is set up in one family. It's a family problem. So in a family, there's a two sister, elder and younger. So the one lives in France, and one in India. So in between them, there's a big conflict, and then the sister has to come from, like France to the settlement, to the home, because their mother passed away. So she is coming for the cremation, and then like because of the big problem, I'm not going to tell the problem yet. So the problem like arises between the two sisters during the funeral, and the father doesn't know anything what's going around with his own daughter. So this is sort of story. It's the theme is like migration. In the Tibetan community, the migration, we have certain problems of uh, dismantle their families, right? Sometimes. So this is about that actually. Yeah.
Very interesting story, very new, and I think the very powerful. Under very powerful theme, I think it makes lot of sense. So, Kandila, can you talk to us a little bit more on the Drung initiative, the Tibetan Filmmakers Collective? What is it all about, and what are the initiatives that you have taken over the years?
So, as I mentioned before, we started in 2020, so it was a pandemic idea. And so we started from there. And so, again, the main idea behind this filmmaking is a very collaborative process. And it's like, unlike other arts, you need a lot of people. And so that's one of the main reasons why we came together to form Drung. Mainly, we have like two goals or two basic ideas that we have. So we are filmmakers, and through films, first of all, since we are filmmakers, our first priority is to tell our stories through films to a wider audience, right, to the world, and to basically share our existence with the whole world, right? So that's the first initiative, and State of Statelessness is a part of that initiative. And our second goal, again, as since we have a certain skill sets as filmmakers, how do we use it to bring we bring a positive impact in the community? So what we have done is, for example, in the next couple of months, we are going to shoot a web series in Tibetan, and which is going to be released on YouTube for free and for Tibetans to watch. So through this, what we are trying to do is to create content, online content that people can watch in Tibetan by Tibetans. And for example, this film, it would take a lot of time for it to come online, and people actually, our community doesn't get to watch it much, right? So in that sense, so for example, the web series is in that line. And in the past, we have done workshops for young adults, for school children, filmmaking workshops. And something that we are really proud of is our mentorship program. Every year, we mentor two Tibetan upcoming filmmakers to make a short film. And what we do is we get two mentors, international mentors, and then obviously there's True to help them also. And this is like at least a 2-month-long mentorship, where from script to finish film, we help them, and at the end of it, they all make a short film. And then out of that, so we've done it for 3 years already, and we've made 6 films. And this year at DIF, one of the films that we made last year called Chunta is going to show again at DIF. So that's another film to watch for Tibetans in and around.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's our main effort. And there are some other things that we also do, but our main idea is to use our skills to make films, tell our story, and then try to see if we can help others to contribute to the community in some way.
Before I sign off with this conversation, I'd like to ask both of you. I'll start with Kandila. Since you have mentioned during this conversation that over the last few years, we have more Tibetan feature film came up, right, made by Tenzin Kalden and then Shembe Kemsar and Kusan Kirong. So including them, we have seen also variety of Tibetan stories, right, based on various themes. So can you tell us, how do you define the current scene of Tibetan film in exile? Where is it going?
I think if you look at it, we are only like 150, 160,000 Tibetans, So there are only so many, I think basically, there are only so many filmmakers that can come out of such a small community. And I think we are doing great looking at our condition and the situation, considering all that. I think we are doing pretty good, I think, because we are at a very nascent stage. It's very early for Tibetan filmmaking. And I think considering all that, I think we are doing great. If you look at it, as I said, you just mentioned 3 filmmakers, right? And then there are a lot more. So like this, Sunzila, Tenzin, Ritu Tenzila. There are, there are many other filmmakers.
Including Zila's.
So for new filmmakers, so I think the scene is improving. Like for example, if you look at the mentorship program, so there are the promising newer filmmakers who are joining in, and I think it's great. It's great. I think there's a lot of awareness in the community about films. So overall, I think it's much better than at least when I started. It was in 2016, not too long ago, right? And I think it's only what 8 years, and it's improved a lot. And in terms of filmmaking and viewership, both within our community, there's a lot of awareness. So yeah, I feel it's going the right way and the good way. Yeah.
What about you, Sanzila?
So I think before, like Kandla mentioned also, like the Tibetan like cinema itself, we hasn't much history about Tibetan cinema, right? Because look at Indian cinema, look at Korean, they've been for 100 years now. So at the same time, just before when I started, and there's only like Tenzin Kalden to like making films, and there are a few like my similar age, or some are making like abroad or something, but there's no scene as such as a community to this. I think now I feel it's really important, because then like in 2 years ago, 4 years ago, like we started Drung. And now we are trying to initiate, like Kandala also mentioned that like every year, like we're trying to produce like two short films, and the one is like showing at this time by Giant Pinso. And then the last month or last something, that someone's film is shown in some Mumbai Film Festival. So that's why now the slowly like is growing, and lots of people are showing their interest. And the best part is this, like so the now the upcoming someone, like there are like many filmmakers coming up now. So now they are trying to tell the story about the personal kind of touch, and not just for the information, right? So they're making a film about the feelings. So for me, it's more important than just to making information films. So that's why for me, what I'm now the in exile community film like making is like, slowly growing up now. And at the same time, now we shown in the Busan. So I think this is one of the step, right? So now we have small connections around. So for me also, it's very eye-opening. I've been like a few festivals, TIFF and yeah, Palm Beach International Film Festivals. Yes, that time the Busan really opens my eye. Really, that's really helps me. So when I look into our community, like cinema scene in exile, it's going really well. At the same time, inside Tibet, they're growing really well. The late KPM last, like he really like initiate some community to help other younger Tibetan filmmakers inside Tibet to grow them, to groom them, and So over here now, like Dung, now we are trying to do that. So we have a very like small hand, but still like we are trying our best to tell our own story with our own voice, right? With our own, with feelings, right? So be honest also at the same time. Yeah, I think the Tibetan community, the exile cinema community is growing now. Like slowly it's growing. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And also, I think one of the things that really helps, apart from like, for example, we have a mentorship program. Something that really helps is, for example, I should mention, for example, Tibettv gives these grants to
Yes.
make documentary films.
Yeah.
I think it's really helpful for up and coming filmmakers, right? So they at least have a project to work on. They get paid for that project, right? And it really helps them. For example, I participated when it was during its early days. I participated twice, I think, and it really helped me a lot. And I think initiatives like these really helps bring Tibetan cinema further, bring it, tell our storytelling basically,
Yes.
further, make it better and involve more people in it.
So these are my questions for this conversation. Sunsila and Kantila, thank you so much for being here, taking out your time and talking to us about your film, the first ever anthology, Tibetan feature anthology, State of Statelessness. And I wish you all the best for the upcoming film festivals that you're going to screen worldwide. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
With this, we have come to the end of today's program of In Conversation with Tibettv. Thank you so much for watching.